facing today. This one is a glaring issue. 2014, 75% of Americans have been affected by a cybersecurity breach. In 2015, that was 90% of Americans have been affected by a cybersecurity breach. And this year, it's going to be 100%. Everybody has gotten that note in the mail that says, "Hey, your card's been, we've gotten broken into. We need to redo your card, etc." Everybody's seeing that stuff. Everybody talking shops at Target or Walmart. All of them have been suffering from security breaches. So this is the state of the nation. We are getting owned. This is a picture of us collectively getting our butts kicked. And it's because we don't have cybersecurity operators to defend the resources that are under attack. So what you see is 93% of the cases of hackers took minutes to break into networks. Minutes. 83% of these breaches weren't discovered for weeks, 257 days to be exact. And all of this while businesses are being asked to move more stuff to the electronic or the IoT type world. So what you're facing with all of this explosion of devices getting connected, 4 billion devices are connected to the network today. In 2015 alone, 4 billion were added. So Internet of Things is a reality, which means that everything from our refrigerators to our cell phones to our Nest systems that do the climate control in your house, all connected to the Internet. And as a result, it creates a massive attack surface for these clowns right here. So on the left, you've got the less bad, and on the right, you've got the really bad. Either way, not good for us as consumers, as taxpayers. So basically what we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on the real bad guys, the terrorists and the cyber warfare reality that we're facing, right? So you've got a multi-billion-dollar industry that is funding these types of operations. So in order for Al-Qaeda to go fund its operations, they recently did a breach of RBS, and they were able to siphon out $1.5 million from Royal Bank of Scotland before they noticed the breach, and they used that money to basically fund terrorist activities. Additionally, you've got nation-state actors that are breaking into places like Sony. You see the Sony Electronics or the Sony breach that resulted in a bunch of their movie not being released on time, and Sony basically coming out and having a massive state of embarrassment. You see the DNC being hacked, and the Russians are being fingered for that hack, right? Well, that's another dimension of this scenario of the reality of the new cyber state of warfare that exists out there today. They are breaking in, and they are having an impact on our own democratic presidential elections, and they can do it because we're not well enough to defend it. So let's talk a little bit about where these people exist, where these operators exist. So we're gonna give you a little tour of the dark web or the deep web and give you an idea of how does this all work? How do these individuals? How many of y'all are cyber operations? Okay. How many of y'all have an internet connection? So how many of y'all are getting out soon? 6 months to a year.
Doing out of what?
The military. How many of you have honorably served? Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the dark web, right? So it's 1,000 times larger than the internet that we see on a daily basis. 7 terabits have been observed on the dark web. So you've got an operational capability there far beyond what your regular World Wide Web services. I mean, this is actually a hacker center of excellence, par excellence. So different levels of the deep web. What this means is you get into level 1, you're kind of a nobody. You're granted access to see certain things. Level 5 on down, and you have to be a known quantity in order to access different things on the dark web. So this is a leveled system of engagement that gets into some really deep and spooky stuff. So with the fact that, let's look at the organizational structure, right? So if you start thinking about your adversary, because this is war. This is absolutely an ongoing state of warfare in cyberspace today. And as I mentioned, we're getting our butts kicked right now. It's because this is the organization we're facing. This is the organization that businesses around the world, government organizations, state and local, we're facing this kind of quantity and quality within the attackers that are matched with underfunded and undereducated, basically, individuals that don't have the right resources and education to stop these folks. And that's where we come with a big problem, right? So you've got everything from quality assurance to hosting sites. If you don't want to rent a botnet, or if you don't want to go out and hack a bunch of people's grandma's computers so that they can go out and hack Microsoft, you can borrow one. You can pay by the minute for a botnet army to go hack whoever you want, or denial of service attack whoever you want to target. So you don't even have to do it the hard way of breaking in and creating that army yourself. You can go rent one, like going up to Amazon.com. So you've got money mules. You can't make the connection between the Chase Bank Anybody remember the Chase Bank breach? So the Russians were also fingered for that one. And basically, the FSB hired a criminal hacking organization that used to be, basically the Russian mafia to go do this. But there was a money mule that transported the $1.5 million fee for successfully breaching that network. They didn't actually want them to go steal or break anything. They just wanted the U.S. government to understand that we can break into your biggest bank, your most well-defended resources. We can break in there. And the message was, keep your fingers out of Ukraine. So this is warfare. So warfare is an extension of diplomacy, and this is a very hardcore extension of diplomacy here. So what you've got also is, heck, you've even got interns. You got interns, you got folks that are bringing up these junior developers, creating the source code. You've got Q&A, quality assurance, and then you've got the organizations that actually support all of that. The licensing, the maintenance, the affiliates, the criminal organizations on the ground that do different things. And these are attacking businesses, government organizations, and they're attacking organizations that are poorly defended. We'll get into a little bit more details on that. All right. So how do they get on this network? And we're gonna actually jump on there. And within Fortinet, we'll talk about who Fortinet is. Y'all probably don't know who Fortinet is, but we have teams of threat researchers that what they do is they hang out in the dark web. And obviously, just like threat intelligence in the military, if you don't know what the bad guy's doing, you can't stop them. So what they do is they actually get onto the Onion router network or the Tor network, and they are able to basically transit across the traditional internet, but they are unseen on the traditional internet because they're using encryption. They're basically masking their source and destination so they can't be tracked, and they can't be basically black helicopters and fast road guys going down and arresting them. It doesn't work like that on the Onion router network because you can't basically trace back the source of the attack. So what you find on this network, and anybody can go out there and download it, whether you'll see anything or not will have something to do with who you are and your reputation on this network. But once you're on there, the kind of things you see are hackers for hire. Hey, I want to take out my competition, but I don't want it to be tied back to me. So this is pretty cool. This is real, right? So this is off the dark web. And so here what you see is this guy saying, hey, I'll do anything for money. I'm not a cop. If you want me to destroy some business or a person's life, I'll do it, right? And so he can't spell in English very well, but this guy is still pretty dangerous. And basically, this guy offers up a bunch of different stuff, like a small hack. I'll break into their Gmail account, and then I'll send out a big email to all of their friends that says, hey, I need you to transfer money to a Western Union account in Madrid, Spain. I mean, this is all real stuff. And literally, from that on up to planting child pornography on somebody's computer and then calling the FBI. So that's how you ruin somebody's career. And literally, you can go hire the guy to go do that. Now, your money is not good here, except that unless it's in Bitcoin, and you can see the conversion rate from the euro to the Bitcoin. That's a pretty good conversion rate there. So 500 euros is one Bitcoin, or 1.5 Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's its own industry in and of itself. So additionally, you've got an environment where you can go in there and learn how to be more effective as a hacker. So in this scenario, this guy, he's got a little bit of a problem with the fact that the way he's able to infect individuals is he goes on to these user groups and he poses as a 17-year-old girl. And he's basically writing onto the message board for Hackers Anonymous or whatever. And he's basically saying, look, I'm tired of doing it this way. I want to hack like a real man. I don't want to act like a little girl, whatever that means, right? So he wants to go infect somebody in a hardcore capacity. He wants to reach more victims. And so in this scenario, he's looking for some help. I've done some simple ways. I can wrap this up in a RAR file, and I can do some stuff like that, but I'm not hitting enough people. So the answer back from the guru is, I'd recommend you encrypt it with this, embed it into a program, the Dancing Santa Claus on the iTunes store or the Google Play store, and you basically mark it as a regular program. And here's where you get all these warnings about applications that you can download from the Google Play and the Apple Store, right? And within those applications, it may be a free app. That's what I tell my girls whenever they want to download something. Daddy, it's free. And it's, yeah, and the North Koreans own you after that, right? And so literally what happens is these are free so that people will download them and not even think about it. So don't ever download a free app. It's better just to pay for it and know that you're not sharing your information with the North Koreans and the Chinese or whoever wrote the app. But literally, this is the kind of environment that's out there to help people be more effective at breaking into networks. And this is what you get on the dark web whenever you become a member of this organization. So additionally, who needs to go out and make money when you just have it printed? So here you can order a bunch of $50 bills, 100 of them, 25 of them, and you literally got the ability to go buy this and have it shipped to you, and they're proven to scan and meet the scan test. So when you do the scan of whether it's a real bill or not, it'll meet that test. And they've got guarantees, literally. They've got like a satisfaction guarantee. So how much would you think a human life is worth? Well, on the internet, it's worth $10,000. And they'll come on down from Canada, and they'll grease your target, but they have scruples. No children under 16 and no top 10 politicians. I'm sure these days we might think twice about that one, but literally, here you go. This is real. This is not made up. This is pulled off, screenshots pulled off from the dark web. So this is what we're facing out there today. It gets even better. So here you can go out and buy a U.S. passport that'll match that'll make the scan requirements into whatever country you want to go into, U.S., wherever, and you can buy this stuff on there. And again, they've got money back or guarantees around the quality of the product that they're producing. I mean, this is all real. This is not made up. So look at this environment and look at the environment that you just visited briefly, and then look at the attack surface. So more and more devices are being added into this attack surface. There are more ways into networks of any type and more ways out. And as a result, not only can you get in easier, but you can take stuff out easier. And more devices being brought in. You got BYOD where you can bring your own device in, bring your own disasters, what we call it in the cybersecurity business. So you literally have an opportunity to really create a problem for any organization you walk into. How many of y'all, when you go into work, have to turn your phones in? There you go. There's a big reason for that, right? Any Bluetooth devices or anything like that? So I mean, that's the real deal is they're thinking of ways to get in. And as a result, what is happening is we're looking at just businesses here, right? Just businesses. We're not taking into account the intellectual property theft of governments, right? So our F-35, that the Chinese J-35 almost looks exactly like our F-35. Wow, right? And so, but the business world is really suffering financially. So as a result, here's in 2013, healthcare organizations, $233 per record breach in 2013. In 2014, $359 per record breach, and that's just the top organizations, the most expensive organizations, right? And then in 2015, $398 per record breach. Anthem Healthcare was a breach in 2015, 80 million records. Do the math, 80 million times 398. And you can see the problem here. This is a multi-billion-dollar sucking hole in our economy. It's very real. And so that's just the money part of it. Let's talk about our way of life, right? So we've got supervised, so SCADA systems. Anybody familiar with SCADA systems, industrial control systems? Yeah, so basically everything that is running our water, our electricity, our cell phones, our way of life runs on SCADA systems and these little PLCs that are poorly defended. And did anybody hear about the Iranians that were being indicted for breaking into a dam in New York? So I'm sure we'll go get those guys, right? I'm sure they'll be in jail soon. Well, the fact of the matter is the only reason they weren't able to open the dam gates and flood the town below was that the door was under repair. So your SCADA systems, your energy and utility, mass transit, the trains, everything that's running on a network is susceptible to this risk. So the real problems that we have are all around, not just affecting our daily life and the way we live, but businesses. 187 billion yearly is the result of businesses. So where we're getting to, where we're heading with this is we're basically outlining the battlefield so that you understand the need and the demand that is represented in the cybersecurity space and why you as a military operator are 10 steps ahead of a civilian candidate that's trying to get into this game. So, shorthanded on the barricades. Let's talk about the problem, right? So you see all the bad stuff that's happening. You see the real risk that is before us and is potentially going to impact the way we live. I broke my phone on the way out here, and I almost had a panic attack because I couldn't connect to anything. I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't find where Augusta is from Atlanta, for crying out loud, right? So imagine if all of our stuff just turned off and didn't work, for a period of time. It would be chaotic. It would be chaos. So literally, 49% of cybersecurity positions are unfilled last year. Almost 50% of cybersecurity jobs are unfilled, and you can see the result of that. 0% unemployment rate amongst cybersecurity engineers. 0%. So as y'all are cycling out of the military and thinking about what you want to do when you grow up, you're facing a 5.3 to 5.7% unemployment rate for post 9/11 veterans, and a 0% unemployment rate in cybersecurity. So if you're thinking about what you want to do when you get out, it's a real good thing to be thinking about getting into the cybersecurity industry, because obviously there's a lot of demand out there. Additionally, 46% of businesses. Now, y'all may think that since I'm military, I can either go be a police officer, I can go to the FBI, I can go to, you've got a lot of options, right, that are natural fits. But cybersecurity is one that you should be putting into your mind, not just in government education or the financial spaces, but in business communities. Business communities are going to pay more. They're the more demand for operators in that space, and less of a pool of talent to serve that environment. So basically 209,000 unfilled cybersecurity jobs last year. And it gets worse. So, well, it gets better for you, right? So cybersecurity jobs up 74% over the last 5 years. Expected to grow 53% in the next 4 years, so it's booming. So if you're trying to get out into the job force, by 2019, 6 million jobs will be out there annually, and 1.7 million of them will be unfilled as a result of this labor shortfall. So my team basically supports managed security service providers. Anybody ever heard of AT&T? Right. So they're one of the largest in the world. So my team basically supports the organizations that are being tasked to defend the parapets, if you will, of the businesses and the government organizations today, because there is such a lack of operational capacity around that. So managed security service providers basically make an expensive endeavor of cybersecurity affordable through economies of scale. They have a deep bench of security engineering, and that's what they bring to bear. So if you're thinking about where you're going to go and where's the cybersecurity job, should I try to go to work for a bank, or should I try to go to work for the government of Augusta? Well, I'd be thinking about an MSSP, because they're looking for these people. They can't find enough of them, and they're constantly hiring, because this is their specialty. They're service-oriented, so they're all about providing that daily, ongoing support mechanism that is required to do this. And we'll get into the different job functions, but it's not all cybersecurity operations, propeller heads, coding. There's a variety of different positions within this space. So if you think, well, shoot, I'm not a propeller head, I don't fit into this. There's hundreds of jobs that are outside of the actual operational, cyber geek kind of stuff that would be fits for pretty much anybody with a background like yours. So let's talk about the folks that are actually doing this job today. A lot of times, and I don't want to get thrown out of here, a lot of times the perception is that a certification or a degree is going to get me a job. I'm not saying that it is not going to get you a job, but I'll tell you what employers are looking for. Employers are looking for experience. And so the guys and gals that are doing this job today generally don't have a cybersecurity degree, and they get their certs after they've started working in this industry. So they get it to strengthen their position once they've gotten that position, because experience is what the employer is looking for. The certifications, anybody can go out, and I know nobody here would do this, but you can actually go buy the tests and certify out without actually studying. Nobody here would do that, I know. But you can. So the employers are looking at it from that perspective, that, shoot, this guy could have paid $200 for pass myexamguaranteed.com and be able to pass that, G-Slick certification and be, a guru, if you will. So they're looking for experience. Most of the folks that are doing this job actually have a background in network operations or communications, not cybersecurity. So it's the field comms. It's the cyber network operators. It's the folks that are managing networks and setting up networks on the battlefield and environments that communications are required. So this is not the cyber geeks that are, and if you're not one of these type of individuals, then you're out. Literally, the concept these days is changing as to who they're hiring. Many have military backgrounds. There is a natural fit between cybersecurity and military service, and we're going to get into the details of that. So what you have is you have a demand for experience. And so what I'm here to tell you is we get this a lot. So we've been running the veterans program for a while at Fortinet, and we have folks that come out and they go, you know what? I am an absolute guru, and I want the perfect job. I want to be driving a Bentley tomorrow. Well, that's not the way it works. You take a crappy job first, you get that experience under your belt, and then the next job gets better and better and better and better. Unfortunately, your service is greatly appreciated by this nation, but that is not going to fast track you into a Bentley job. So what is resulting within the employer's space is the concept of grow your own. This is what's happening today. So if you are perceiving that you have to get all sorted up before anybody's going to look at you, the concept of grow your own is where it's at. So what employers are looking for is they're looking for the right aptitude, they're looking for relatable skills, and they're looking for incentives that will benefit them for hiring you. And there are quite a few for hiring military veterans. There are not any for hiring a university graduate. You can basically tell them that, hey, look, it's going to be stressful until you get that latte done, and you got to come in early, and I know, 8 o'clock's early, shucks, you got to work till 5, I'm so sorry, we'll give you some counseling for the stress that you're enduring for that, right? But they're looking for incentives that they get for hiring military veterans. And it's literally what you've got is got about $1,500 to $8K per hire to hire a veteran, right? You've got government-paid relocation, so whenever you get out, they'll move you to where you want to be, so guess what? The employer doesn't have to do that. That's cost savings to them. There's some other philanthropic benefits to hiring veterans around marketing and sales that are obviously beneficial indirectly to the business, and a lot of them are doing it for those reasons. And some of them actually are the owners and the operators of the business are veterans, and they have an affection for the service. Background checks and security clearances, and I bet every one of y'all can pass a drug test right now. So these are things that you can't necessarily take for granted from a university kid coming out of the University of Augusta. No offense to any graduates from the University of Augusta. Healthcare reduction. So those of you that put in 20, or you're coming out with some sort of retirement, your healthcare, you don't need the healthcare from the employer. This is a huge savings. We just hired a Marine that came out with 20 years, and he's like, now I'll take my TRICARE, and we instructed him that you need to negotiate with us, right? You need to negotiate with HR and say, hey, look, I'm saving you a lot of money by not having to pay for my health care, because as we all know, healthcare costs in the civilian sector, healthcare costs are going through the freaking roof. So this is a great benefit for an employer. So basically you've got some benefits from the employer side that are helpful for you. What you've got from the military operator side is you are 10 steps ahead of the civilian college graduate. So first off, how many of y'all have had to learn a new task and put it to work like right away, right? Fast, right? Okay, everybody's done that. How many of y'all have had to perform under pressure with the potential loss of life and limb as a potential result of your actions? Come on now. Yeah, you can say you can. Yeah, right. So everybody's had to do that. How many of y'all have had to basically overcome adversity to get your mission accomplished? Whether it's the coffee was cold or somebody was shooting at you, right? Either way, in the military, you have to go through this. You are basically dealing with adversity in a variety of different methods, whether you're going through boot camp, you've got a drill instructor barking at you and telling you to climb trees and run long distances. You've had to go through adversity that many of the civilian operators have not. How many of y'all would say your job now is detail and process oriented? And how many of y'all have had to work in teams and as well as an individual contributor? Okay, this is all training that doesn't come out of our college system. So when employers are thinking about who's going to be immediately operational in this role, who can I train up and mold into a cyber operator, they're looking at military individuals as having a great deal of advantages over the individual civilian operator. So relatable skills, force protection and situational awareness. How many of y'all are trained on force protection? How not to get your people blown up and how not to get your networks broken into. Well, that's force protection. That, again, is not a skill set taught to you at college. Situational awareness. You got to know what's around you if you're going to stop the bad guys, right? And literally, that is something, again, not in university curriculum. Diversity and inclusion in action. You've got to work with individuals from different sexes, different backgrounds, different incomes, a variety of different individuals you have to operate around and be successful as a team. Again, not something that you are going to learn in the university system unless you go to a fraternity or a sorority, and then they'll teach you all of the bad ways to learn that kind of stuff. Structured leadership training. Y'all are getting structured leadership training. You're being taught how to train other people to do stuff and how to lead them in a variety of different scenarios. Again, not something that you get at university. How many of y'all use communications and technology in your job? all of you do, right? Again, not something necessarily that's going to be used by your kid at college. Intelligence and kinetic warfare. As I mentioned to you, we're in a state of warfare in cyberspace. So kinetic warfare, where you're actually shooting and dodging bullets, has a direct application to cybersecurity because the bullets are cyber, they're virtual, but they're very, very real, and they're flying back and forth right now. And as you can see from the news, all you got to do is watch the news to see whether or not this is actually happening. And then your reliance on intelligence is important because threat intelligence is something we're going to talk about very briefly, but threat intelligence is a critical component of this business, and situational awareness. So a little bit about Fortinet. How many of y'all have ever heard of Fortinet? So different branches of the service use our gear quite a bit. We've been carried on the backs of warriors into battle to set up secure communications infrastructures in combat situations. We are on the floating things, we are on the driving things, we are in the skiffs, we are all over the place. But literally, our company has done a great deal of work with the defense sector, and we continue to expand that role, working with a variety of different services to include a new relationship with NATO, where we're sharing threat intelligence between those organizations. But we're about 4,000 employees, $1.5 billion in the bank, headquartered out of Sunnyvale, 100 offices around the world. So we're a large corporation. We are members of a variety of different security organizations, to include a recent signing with CRADA. So we're in that organization of sharing threat intelligence back and forth. We're at InfraGard. We are capitalizing on the DHS's standard of sticks and taxis for threat intelligence sharing. So we truly are leading the way from the perspective of the threat intelligence community. We've actually created the Cybersecurity Alliance with our competition because we feel that it is best for us to all share threat intelligence and vulnerabilities back and forth so that all of our customers can be defended. So even though we don't like them, we're sharing information with them so that we can protect our customers together. So Fortinet basically is famous for the Unified Threat Management Firewall. So basically the ones that are trucking around in MRAPs are these tiny little devices. The ones that are on ships are pizza boxes. The ones that were trucked into Fallujah were pizza boxes. Some poor Marine had to carry that while he was getting shot at into Fallujah on 2 different occasions. But that device creates a security blanket, if you will. It's a Swiss Army knife of security functionality. And as a result, anybody ever heard of Gartner? So in the civilian sector, nobody buys anything until they check out Gartner, right? So Gartner will tell you who's the best. And for the last 7 years, we've been on the top right side of the Gartner Magic Quadrant right there for the effectiveness of our security. And as a result, Gartner gives us, basically says that Fortinet's setting the cadence in the market. So that's kind of who we are. You're probably wondering, who is this guy and what is Fortinet, right? So in 2013, we actually started the Fortinet program, or the Veterans Program at Fortinet. And really what we were doing was we were trying to help our partners find security operators because the demand was constantly. We've got 5,000 partners out there, and they're constantly coming to us saying, hey, if you hear of anybody that's got some skills, we need them, boom, 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 right? So we're dealing with that left, right, and center. And so we created the Veterans Program because we found that internally, when we did an internal poll, we had a disproportionately large group of veterans that were working in the sales engineering and the systems engineering piece. We're like, well, shoot, this makes all kinds of sense. So we can do well while doing good. We'll get a bunch of veterans in here. We'll network them out to our partners. We'll get them hired, and basically supporting our partners, but also benefiting Fortinet in an indirect capacity. So we started actually hiring veterans pretty quickly. Much to our partner chagrin, we got first dibs at them because heck, it's our program. So when veterans come in, we cherry pick them, we bring them into our organization, and we make them available. And pretty much it's a race to hire them, to be honest with you. So if our partners aren't quick to the draw and getting that operator engaged, then we'll pick them up and we don't waste much time. So what we've done is we've basically hired everything from sales operations administrators, 50 caliber gunnery expert, Adrian, raise your hand. Andrew actually runs the program, so he's a Marine Corps track unit, 3rd Track Battalion. So basically came out of the Marine Corps with the right attitude, relatable skills, and aptitude for this kind of work, and he's been fantastic on board. But literally, these guys are getting hired. We're bringing more and more of them in. They're coming in as systems engineers. They're coming in as threat intelligence analysts, business development reps. So we've got guys that have been trucking all over the place from Afghanistan and Iraq, coming back and making really good money working in a role that is giving them an entree into this business. Now, granted, it's obvious that it's easier to hire an engineer. Engineers are in high demand, but we bring in operators from a variety of different capacities, and we continue to hire these operators within Fortinet. So the mission of the program actually is to help the transition of military veterans into the cybersecurity community. So we do that by providing a great deal of mentoring and support around getting into this business and into this line of work. So what you'll see with this program is it's a path to transition. So when you apply to this program, if you're cycling out, and Andrew will give you a basic overview of kind of the requirements to get into the program, but when you're starting to get about 6 months out of separation, then we start this program up for you. So we're getting you integrated into the partner ecosystem. We're providing some educational guidance to give you some basic preparation, a career vector, because a lot of times you don't naturally know what kind of job you want within this space. You're not sure that you want to be an engineer. You're not sure that you want to be in sales or marketing or what have you. So we provide some help there. There is no cost to the veteran or employer. I need to repeat that, because once you find out the depth of this program, you'll go, okay, who's paying for this, right? There's no cost to the veteran or the employer for this program. Here are the kind of jobs that exist today within this space, right? So you've got everything from sales on down to a chief information security officer. And we've got guys that are coming out and gals that are coming out that have deep, long backgrounds in cybersecurity operations that are fantastic fits for chief, like executive security officers, because there are just fewer and fewer of those types of operators in the civilian community to draw from. So what you'll find is you'll have everything from a customer service rep to logistics to security engineer. There are hundreds of types of positions within this field. So don't count yourself out of this because you're not a coder. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of folks make. So what we do when we bring you into the program is we break you down into one of three categories. Category A is no cybersecurity experience. You know how to track a line with a 50 caliber and blow shit up, right? If that's your skill set and that's your background, hey, we got roles for you. So if you can acquire and engage a target, we like that. So basically, no cyber experience. The roles would be in sales, logistics, operations, support. And the Cat Bs are the cyber network operators or the field communications. As I mentioned, you've got folks with backgrounds in communications and operations that are the biggest predominant group of individuals that are working in this space. So we try to bring that individual in and put them into roles that are going to expand them into the Cat C domain, which is that cyber intelligence operator or cyber threat operator, right? So you've got roles like sales engineer, help desk, SOC admin. We brought the 20-year veteran in from the Marine Corps just recently that came in, and he got a position pulling down $150K, first job out of the military, working out of his house as a sales engineer. And he is fantastic. He is destroying for us. We're being asked about cloning. Yeah. So anyway, good problem to have whenever you've got people clamoring over getting more access to veterans as a result of performance. So Cat C are the actual cybersecurity, the red cell. One of our recent ads is actually a red cell Marine, and basically came in from a background of actually going and breaking into base networks. Going and faking credentials to try and get on base, putting them on cars, seeing where they could get in, dropping pineapples into a network to see if they could get onto the wireless networks in the on base. So that's fantastic. We love that kind of background. So he was unemployed when he got out for all of about 5 minutes. So those give you an idea of kind of how we break these up. So this is managed by veterans, and I think one of the things that's important is that it's hard for a civilian to understand and be able to relate to a transitioning veteran. And so what we've done at Fortinet is we've actually got veterans running this program. And so once you go in and you make it past the Marines, you'll then have access to Army, Air Force, Navy, a variety of different branches, Coast Guard, that are working at Fortinet within the organization that are in the buddy system. So once you get through the actual the grilling that you get from our boys to ensure quality, then you've got access to a massive organization of veterans that can guide and assist in that transition, because I'm not going to lie to you, it's not easy. You basically come out of the military, you go to high school, maybe college, and then from that point you've entered the military and you're told what to do, what to wear, what your job function is. As soon as that train stops at the civilian station, None of that exists. It's all up to you to figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and what the gotchas are. And if you're lucky, you've got some friends that are cycling out into a similar line of work or a similar place, or you've got some relatability there. Well, we don't expect that to happen, and within the organization, the fact that we've got these young gentlemen that are veterans to relate to really makes it a lot easier transition. So mentoring includes outlining the educational path, insight into the transition, interview guidance, and resume critique. So we coach up our interviewees. So we tell them, hey, you got Newspire and AT&T looking at you right now. They're interested in this type of role. Here are the things that you need to be able to talk about during that interview, because they're going to immediately go, oh, you've done some research. This makes a huge, huge benefit to go to the extent that our engineers will spend time with engineer veterans as they interview for engineering positions within a partner, so that when they walk in the door, they're comfortable and they're familiar with Fortinet and what we do and how our partner would be using it. So this is enormously helpful. And then we provide guidance down the path of what you all may be already pursuing, which is Security Plus, Network Plus, GIAC, G-Slick, CISSP. We'll send you down that path. We don't provide this training. We basically provide a path to it that is at no cost to you as a veteran. And we get you in a situation where you can either attend these classes in person or you can get them online. And so from an employer's perspective, the reason employers like us and the reason that we've been so successful getting hires within employers is we make it easy for the employer to browse these individuals, right? So when you come in and you become a part of this program, they're going to be able to find you on the Fuse Veterans page. And literally on this page, you'll have your battle card. We found that resumes just don't really do much to illustrate someone's personality, who they are, what they've done. And so we've converted that resume into a battle card. And in the battle card, the employer can see what the person looks like in uniform and in civilian attire, what their security clearances are, where they want to live, what they've done, their accommodations, all of that stuff in a one sheet that's simple to peruse. Now, how many of y'all haven't made a decision on somebody looking at a picture of it? eHarmony.com, come on. So literally, this just goes a long way to give that person a face instead of just a name and a black and white resume. And we found that it's highly effective amongst our partners in being able to peruse these candidates. Tinder, is that what you're doing back there? Yeah. So, all right. Thank you very much for your time. So literally, if you want to get involved in this program, veterans@fortinet.com. Adrian here would be the first person that you would be talking to. And, basically, Andrew, you want to give a quick overview of what their next steps would be?
Yeah, so just to reiterate, every single veteran gets an initial interview. This is a competitive program, so we can all agree, no matter what the organization is, there's always that 10%. And we're taking a risk. Every time that we approve somebody, we're putting Fortinet's name on you, we're putting recommendations for you at our own company or our partner company, so it's a risk. So we put you through 2 competitive interviews. It doesn't matter where you live, they can all be done on Skype. If you contact veterans@fortinet.com, we'll send you all the program information. There's an online application. It takes 12 to 15 minutes to fill out. We'll set up your initial interview with the Skype. If that person recommends you for your final interview, we'll send your final interview. If you feel comfortable after that, dominance, you're in. You get 6 months of program participation, just like that. And also, the network security expert from Fortinet is a level 1 certification that's included by Fortinet. But if you have any questions, please find me today. I'd be more than happy to help.
What's our booth, Mike?
611.
Yeah, so if you want to learn a little bit more about Fortinet, what we do, where we play, come by 611. So we're on the floor out there. And thank you for your service. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Anybody need a